April 2017 horoscopes. And guys, I don't want to over dramatize, but I believe this will be probably the most important month of the year, if not for a few years, because when I started looking at the astrology of April, I was a bit, overwhelmed, because we will have 4 planets becoming stationary, which means they're not going to be moving in the sky. It will look like they're staying in one place. And when a planet becomes stationary, it means it's changing direction. And I've never, since I've been doing videos in the last 6 years, I've never seen such a convergence of 4 planets at the same time, in the same month, changing direction. And when planets change their directions, they become 5 times stronger, and they become 5 times more likely to give big changes in life. And it's changing direction is like reversals in the directions and derailing of the train and starting on a different path. So it's going to be such a huge month, and I'm going to walk you through each of the planets, what it means for each of the signs. So bear with me, I think, because you have to watch this video, because it's going to be if you don't watch any other monthly video, watch at least April. And before I start, just wanted to tell you that from May, sometime in May, I'm starting a 6-month course in astrology, and every 2 weeks I'll be speaking about for 3-4 hours on a Sunday about each sign, starting with Aries, Taurus, what it means to have planets in Aries, what it means to have Aries in a certain house, what it means to have Aries ascendant, why Aries or Taurus or whatever sign you are, guys, what it means to have each sign. We're going to go in depth. We're going to start astrology 101. And even if you never learn anything else about astrology, but understand in depth each sign for the 3-4 hours that I'm going to do weekly, this is going to be enough for you to actually even predict for the people, because just knowing someone ascendant can help you see the fate and the money and the health and the career and the relationships and the love and the karma of a person just by knowing their ascendant sign. And I'll teach you how to see all of this. We're going into a really esoteric and astrology without needing to know any astrology. And if you subscribe for the whole course, which is 12 signs, you get it half price. If not, you can just get each one for $29, whichever sign you want to see. Cancer, April 2017. And how will all those stationary planets, all those planets that are changing direction, impact you in what areas of your life? Let's see. If you happen to have ascendant in Cancer in particular, is the most powerful, because the ascendant rules the physical body and the material manifestation, what's really tangibly happening in the world. Or even if you have the sun or moon in Cancer, the sun is how you perceive and what's the emotional impact on you. So many people would feel like the moon influence if you have Cancer a lot, or the sun influence. This is how we can impact with our personal willpower events. While the ascendant and moon sign are more kind of fated. If you listen to a prediction for ascendant and moon sign, they're kind of more out of your reach, because the physical body, what manifests, is put into action from previous lifetimes, from previous actions, while the moon is from the subconscious. While the sun sign, you have more, the prediction for the sun sign, you have more conscious control over it to influence it. But if you happen to have sun, moon, or ascendant in Cancer, let's see how all those stationary planets will affect you. And what is a stationary planet? It's, imagine that you're walking on wet concrete. I give this example for all the signs. And you leave little, little marks in the wet concrete. And all of a sudden you stop. What happens if you stop in the wet concrete? Well, you're going to sink. And this is what happens when a planet becomes stationary. It leaves a much bigger imprint. It becomes 5 times, like it's almost like it's heaviness, and becomes, it's not in a negative way heaviness, if it's a good planet that goes stationary, it becomes 5 times more powerful to do good, or whatever house it is to transform in your life. But it makes a much bigger mark, when planets are moving. Okay, you discover new territory, you see new things, or you go back to old territory, but you're moving. But when they become stationary, and this, I'm saying the whole April, so many planets are stationary. It's like everything is sitting still in a meditation and looking around for direction. When the planet stops, it's as if you're looking, okay, where do I go now? What's happening? Reevaluating your direction is like going on a crossroad. This is what happens when planets become stationary. Going on a crossroad, having to be more focused, having to slow down so you can be more objective and take the right decision. And this is when people's lives get reoriented and change rails in a big way. And especially when there are 3 or 4 planets going stationary at the same time. Wow, some of you might feel like things have stopped, but things have stopped, so you take a different direction. And when planet becomes stationary, its transit or whatever house it is stationary in, it can generate 5 times more important events in your life, basically 5 times more impactful. So let's see what's happening. Who is becoming stationary? First, Saturn, the first 2 weeks of April, in your 6th house. Saturn in the 6th house in Sagittarius. The 6th house for Cancer is your work, is your employment. Maybe something, and it's gonna turn, it's stationary, and then and then it starts turning retrograde for 4 or 5 months. After that, we'll be moving backwards, basically. So nothing bad. Again, moving backwards means going back over old projects, reviving old health, re-examining your health habits, starting to change your attitude towards your health habits. Do you work out? What do you eat? What's your diet? How do you brush your teeth? Do you get out of breath like I do? Are you trying to, in some way, to improve something in your health? When Saturn becomes stationary and starts turning retrograde, you take such matters much more seriously, much more. And you can put way more self-discipline, because Saturn, remember, becomes 5 times stronger. So maybe April can be a time when you redirect your whole health routine, your whole something changes in regards to your lifestyle. 6th house rules also our daily routines and our daily habits, whether it's food habits, whether it's diets, whether it's workout habits. So those of you who really want to change in regards to those matters, now can be the time. The Saturn, you might feel like those changes are happening slowly, or that they're being imposed on you because you're not feeling so well, because you're not so happy, because Saturn tends to bring things the hard way, not like we're enthusiastic about it, but it's kind of like, I'm feeling so down with my diet or with my daily routines and habits, it sucks, so I'm going to change something. But Saturn gives you, when it becomes stationary, 5 times more of its Saturnian energy, which is self-discipline, more feeling the situation very serious, more urgency of the importance, of the seriousness of the matter. So you're much more likely to make decisions that are lasting and long when Saturn is stationary. In regards to 6th house, your daily routines, your daily engagements, your debts, you might be making such changes and such decisions in regards to something to do with debts, in regards to something to do with service and work. There might be some shifts starting to happen at your work. Maybe something that is, if you're employed for someone, or if you're a boss, these are your employees, the people that work for you, the people that you hire at home or something. Something is starting to shift there. You have to put 3 times more efforts to work hard on some project together, or to work harder on restructuring somehow the environment there at your work, so these are all things that might be happening. Or in some case scenario, it might be some work that was some engagement or some work or some duty and responsibilities that needs to be re-examined, retouched, redone, that comes back from the past as well. Okay, this is one way it can work, but don't forget that Saturn also rules Capricorn, which is your 7th house. And it means that somehow this might be connected also to relationships, this kind of important directions in change in regards to your relationships, which impact your daily routines, which impact your lifestyle, which impact your work in some way, and which impact your health as well. When Saturn becomes stationary, it can, in worst case scenario, it can bring some health problems if you have not been taking good care of your routines, daily routines, especially if it's something connected to being stressed because of contracts, agreements, because of relationships of some sort as well. Or work, Saturn is in the 6th house, unhealthy routines. So if some problem crops up in regards to your health, cancers, remember that is something that you can correct by the discipline Saturn gives you through your diet and through your daily routines in some way, you have control over it. It's not something that don't leave it in the hands of, someone else as well. Okay, so what else is happening? Let's see. Mercury is also going retrograde in the sign of Taurus, which for you, this is the 11th house. Here it is, Mercury. This is its symbol. It's going stationary and then it's going retrograde. In your 11th house, guys. What can it mean? And it's quite potent in the middle of the month, or the first 10 days of the month. It's almost stationary, basically. The first 10 days of the month, it might mean 11th house is friends, people in your social circle, people from maybe some business contacts as well, because 11th house rules benefactors, so people who can help us in some way to move forward with some goals of ours, people that can be beneficial economically in some way, just like friends and people that believe in us, that want to support us and help us. And also how we choose our social environment is how beneficial it is supporting our overall goals in life, So something might be becoming, some important person can appear in your life, or someone that you've contacted from before, for example, that can get in touch with you. Maybe friends you haven't seen from the past, maybe people from your environment somehow socially can get in touch with you. You might have to rework some 11th house is some economic transactions and people that work in the marketplaces, people that work in business. 11th house is a very business house, just like the 7th house, by the way. Might have to renegotiate certain things with groups of people. You might have to re-examine and have to edit and change something, and some complications can appear that you have to work on to perfect and improve and remove in regards to some project you're working on, which you're trying to bring out to the marketplace, which you're trying to bring out to a bigger audience, which will be financially beneficial, economically gainful. Some such opportunity might be coming from the past to be re-examined, to be worked on. Maybe you had some idea and some project you didn't complete, which will be economically beneficial down the line, that is coming back to be put extra efforts in. Okay, so that's another planet that we see. Another thing is that Venus is also going retrograde is changing direction, sorry. That's not Venus. This is Venus. In your 9th house. In Pisces, basically. And it's becoming stationary a week before the middle of April and a week after the middle of April. Venus is becoming stationary and it's turning direct after that. So if there was some complications in regards to foreign travel, in regards to legalization of something, 9th house rules legalizing your status in some sort, 9th house rules travel in foreign countries, 9th house rules foreigners, relationships with people from faraway places. It can even rule long-distance relationships. So it can rule people that are not from your immediate environment, people from a different social class, people from a different cultural class, from a different town, different state than you. And if there were some complications, or if there was some extra efforts that had to be done, or some matters concerning all those things, 9th house things, travels, documents, legalization, legal matters of any sort, all those people, like I said, higher education and pre-qualification as well, mentor figures, they'll start untangling themselves after the middle of April. They'll start kind of becoming easier, giving results, because possibly you have to put extra efforts in regards to that. But still till the middle of April, people connected to all those 9th house areas can appear in your life that you've been in touch from before. They can come back, they can touch base with you, but Venus is in a difficult aspect all throughout, which is like a 19-degree aspect with Saturn from your 6th house. All throughout April almost, Saturn becomes stationary at the 26th degree, and Venus becomes stationary around the 27th degree, and Venus also around the 27th degree. So most of April, for everyone involved, there will be reevaluation, taking important decisions in regards to relationships, which is what Venus rules. Saturn is important decisions, seriousness, assessing something in a serious light, assessing something with a no bullshit, no nonsense attitude, removing illusions, removing, and it might be a little bit disappointing because Saturn brings you back to earth when it comes to Venus, to relationships, when it comes to agreements, when it comes to Saturn brings you down to earth because it shows you the reality, and if something has been unrealistic, it can be disappointment, can mean removing this person or those circumstances from your life. This reality check can be like a big deflation of a balloon. But also, on the positive side, why do you need those things in your life anyway, if they were not realistic? And it might be that Venus is in the 9th house of long-term, something that you dream for, because kind of, 9th house is your long plans, far ahead plans, how you envision the future basically. Because 9th house is the house of Sagittarius, something that you admire, something that is like an ideal of yours that you're waking up every morning for. This is the reason you wake up. The 9th house is the reason we wake up for. And now we might have to re-examine it in April, you being Cancer. What are you devoted? What have you devoted? The 9th house is the house of what you devote yourself. What do we devote ourselves to? The things that really are meaningful, that give us higher purpose in our life, that some ideal that we can strive towards. That's the 9th house. But something like that, and 9th house rules marriage in ancient astrology, because we're devoted on a path of marriage. Maybe nowadays not so much, it's more like contract and agreement to take mutual responsibilities together, but it's a path you decide to tread on. So some important reevaluation of matters regarding to where you're devoted in your life, what's the purpose that you wake up for, the meaning, maybe especially connected to a special person in your life. Because Venus is a planet of relationships that you are examining through a more critical eye, that you are, maybe some kind of a blockage is happening, so you're trying to work through it and to make it more balanced, and if you can't, you have to remove it, or the universe will remove it from you. And on the moment and level, how can it affect you? You might have to take important life-changing decisions to what your ideals and goals are somehow, the 9th house. Your long-term plans are, what the plan for the journey ahead is, based on change of work, based on change of health priorities, 6th house, based on the need to improve your routines, maybe paying more attention to details can clip up some of your enthusiasm for the future, can clip being more like focus on the facts, and which is 6th house, facts, practical side of life, can kind of dampen down a little bit your enthusiasm for the future, but make it more realistic for where you're headed into the future. That's a positive manifestation, So that's what I see, guys. My God. Also, Pluto is going retrograde in your 7th house. Well, not everyone will feel it, but this is stationary basically the whole month, and it's turning retrograde, and it's just gonna increase the impact of the planet that rules your 7th house being stationary, and the planet in your 7th house currently being stationary, again taking a different direction in regards to your relationship, business partnerships, client relationships, one-to-one cooperations with others, agreements and contracts of any sort that might have to be revised or re-examined or put extra efforts to and made more relevant somehow. So, okay, that's all I see, guys. Well, there is a lot more happening, but I don't have time. And you probably don't want to listen to me for hours. But check out for my weekly videos, I do there more. So thank you so much, Cancers, and I'll see you next month.